nothing. If I could get through that period of my life without drinking, dude, I can do anything.
Yeah, look,
I ain't gonna quit.
There's so many people out there that we talk about this all the time, dude. The second you start doing something positive,
Yeah, they hate on it.
they hate on it.
Yeah.
And they just can't wait for you to fail.
Yeah.
And it's such bullshit.
It is bullshit.
That we live in a world where like failure is the only thing I celebrate failure at is when you're doing reps and you fail out.
In a gym. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, dude? Yeah. Like Tom Platz, congratulations.
That dude's awesome, man.
You've achieved failure. I love him, dude. But like, that's the thing is like, I'm so sick and tired of, and it's not just in secular circles. It's also Christian circles. Dude, you could find a Buddhist out there.
Yeah, I've experienced the Christian circle here pretty recently.
Exactly. They are some of the worst.
Yeah.
And like, I don't appreciate anybody that looks at somebody that's doing something expecting and waiting and anticipating a failure out of it.
I think it's human nature because we're all really, I'm not saying it's right, but we're so competitive and we don't want to see someone better than us.
For sure.
Instead of us applauding somebody.
Dude, I'm so competitive. And like, especially like when I look at a competitor in a marketplace, like I'm getting into this online app and building this community and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And working on that. And I'm keeping an eye on all the competitors.
Yeah.
The reality is, dude, like, I don't want them to fail their companies. Mm-hmm. Like, I really don't. I just want to succeed harder than they do.
Yeah.
I want it more.
And it might help you out in the long run with them, like driving people to you.
1,000%. Like, you keep doing what you're doing because number one, like my thing that I do, even here locally.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone. I need a competitor to say, yeah, go check them out.
Right.
And I also need a competitor out there to push and be harder so I can stay hungry and push all that much more. Like, competition's a good thing. It's, in my opinion, I think it's more social media bullshit.
It is, man. It's smoke and mirrors.
And it is competition, dude. I think it's because everybody's gotten so used to just being able to type and everybody's so brave and everybody's so fearless behind the keyboard that they forget in real life, like there's actual human beings out there.
Yeah. And I probably need to like go back a little bit because I know there's more people in my corner than negative people. And I had some people when I first kind of leaked out my story, 3 years ago. I had people I hadn't talked to in years reach out to me and say, "Man, I'm so glad you shared that, and I've dealt with that."
Let's go.
And it put this kind of, I didn't know how to take it. I was kind of like uncomfortable with that. I was
Dude,
like,
I'm the worst.
It's almost like Charles Barkley, the old Nike has. I'm not a role model. Well, yeah, you are.
For sure,
you're a role model, dude.
No, I respect that, and I'm not saying everybody's. It's always such a small minority of people that are being negative, but they're so fucking loud.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we did the podcast on judgment, and I don't care if you judge me on actions or how I run a business, but when you judge a physical characteristic of me, or if you take a shot about how I'm handling my kids, I don't do well with that. So, and I will say this: being sober has taught me how to keep the mouth shut because I have a very I wouldn't call it a good gift, but I can destroy someone's soul with my words. Yeah. And so as a sober individual, I've learned to keep my mouth shut.
Well, that's positive.
Yeah, it's positive and not just fly off. I don't react like I used to.
But what's interesting, dude, is like, again, it's one of those things like you gotta, if you haven't gone through that or you've not, I'm not saying even like overcoming an addiction, but if you're just working on yourself as a human being and you want to be better.
Yeah.
One of the things you're going to face is like, you're going to keep your mouth shut. Mm-hmm. Dude, that energy is like still there though.
It is. Yeah.
And so like dissipating that energy is like tough. And that's a real challenge. I deal with that a lot. And Stephanie will tell you, she'll tell people all the time, he's the meanest man I've ever met in my life.
You are?
Yeah, dude.
Wow. Let's see that. I want to see it.
No,
let's see it.
Well, just like you, dude, I'll sit there and I'll just destroy you.
Yeah.
I'll go back to your ancestors, bro. I'll
yeah.
And it's not nice.
Yeah.
It's just not nice.
Well, it's not supposed to be nice if you destroy somebody.
Exactly. But it's just like, it's not a good way to be. And so I feel that like I keep my mouth shut more
It's funny, man. It's almost like I had this analogy today in my head. I was thinking it's almost like a rattlesnake. It's coiled up. You know it's ready to strike. So the old me, as soon as you got near me, I'm striking. Now this version, you're kicking me a few times, and I'm just sitting there. My rattle's going. I got my fangs open. My mouth's closed because I'm not showing it. But it's like I can't strike, but I'm letting you kick me. But inside, I'm like, if I could do it.
Exactly. You just don't know.
And it's what surprises me too is some of these people that test me. I mean, it's women too, and I'm like, man, if you should just be glad I don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
Like you should be glad because I would have you crying in the corner in 3 seconds.
It's funny because
that's not a good thing to brag about, but
alcohol typically, I was always a happy drunk.
Not me, man.
Dude, I was. It would like
you'd be fun to hang out with though. I can see I'd probably be laughing the whole time. I wouldn't.
No, you'd be laughing the whole time, dude. I was just like I was just always in a great mood.
Yeah.
So without it, now it's like I have to find my good moods and like find my humor and like reframe that because it's like honestly, like that was when I say it was such a part of me and it brought out the best of me. Like it sucks because like I really was more happy-go-lucky and like less, but I'm more prone to like outbursts now sober.
Yeah.
And I'm super hyper aggressive, which I've always been really competitive and really aggressive, like in everything that I want. Like if I want it, I'm going to go.
That's how I've always been too. Yeah, that's how I've always been.
Which I think is funny. I was thinking about this today with this podcast because it's just like two smart guys, thoughtful, methodical guys. When they said like, let's go start a podcast, we'd be like, okay, let's put together a checklist of like, we need to think about audio.
Yeah.
We need to think about video. We're just like, yeah, let's just do it.
Let's do it. Why not?
We'll piece it together as it goes along.
That's all good.
Which I love, man.
But at least we did it. We jumped out.
And those methodical people,
they're sticking their foot in the pool, see how warm it is. We're just jumping in.
Just go.
We're going. Let's hit it. Go. Green light. Go. I mean,
so it's funny to me, like
risk takers, man.
I like it.
Yeah.
But I've had to learn, and I'm having to learn how to like temper my aggressions because I'm just a naturally aggressive person.
I am too, man. I am too.
And I'm more so without alcohol. So it's like my poor wife gets no respite from like, at least when I was drunk, she was like, okay, at the end of the day, like he's going to calm.
He's going to chill out. Yeah.
She doesn't get that right now.
Dude, it's wild though, man. Cause like I'm a thinker. I think a lot. And going back to your analogy, it kind of, when you're drinking, you kind of take the edge off and you just said like at the end of the day, you're kind of chilling out. When I'm with Shelly, I'm not on edge.
That's nice.
I'm not on edge, man. It's weird. I just feel like I can relax.
Yeah.
And I feel at peace.
Yeah.
But when I'm alone, I have it some. It's not all the time, but sometimes I just can't. Like I'm not angry. I'm not fired up. I just can't
chill.
Turn my brain off.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I just sit there and like Sunday morning when I woke up, 3 years ago, that's when I had the accident. I was by myself at the house because my family was at church, and I just kind of, it's like you relive these moments, and it's like, man, when is that going to go away?
Yeah, I don't
want to like celebrate. Oh, 3 years, yay! But it's like 3 years ago, dude. Life sucked.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to celebrate, dude. It's like
it's weird. It's just odd.
I'm proud of this goes back to like I'm really horrible at taking compliments.
I am too. Yeah, I am too.
I was laughing with my sister. I've got this little picture, and it's like this old guy making this horrible face, and under it just says "gay." And so she was sending me a compliment, and that's just like that's my go-to picture.
Yeah.
Gay, shut up. And if you're gay, homosexual, I'm not talking about that gay. I'm talking about
gay.
I'm talking about the 90s, like when something is stupid, it's gay.
Or like back on the Flintstones.
Yeah, exactly. You're happy.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but like I'm so horrible at that, and so I'm bad about like tracking. Like, how long have you been sober? I don't know, a while.
I just remember it because
you had an actual.
I had an accident. I had an accident. I had an accident. So I still have a scar. I mean, you can see it even on the podcast, like right there. I mean, I see it every day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I don't think about it every day, but just when October creeps up, and October's never been a good month for me.
Oh, really?
No. I had a really bad Halloween night in 2010.
That's right.
Yeah. So October's not one of my favorite months.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that to quit in the month of October, and then the other thing that happened, I'm just like, damn, man,
this is so weird, dude. Like, I wonder if internally, like when bad things tend to happen in a certain time frame or a period,
kind of anticipate it
coming. You anticipate it, and you actually like draw more bad things to happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm proud of you, dude. Like 3 years is an awesome accomplishment.
Thank you.
Honestly, 3 days is a good accomplishment. Like the fact that you, and I talk about this a lot with guys. There's a lot of men that just like, you live, what's the saying? A lot of men live lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah.
But like you get up and not you, but like guys get out there, wake up every day and they go to a shit job that they hate, surrounded by people they hate, can't stand, mind-numbing work.
Right.
Go home and they deal with all the pressures, stresses of providing, not only financially, but just like being present and providing in this common world that we live in. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of like just being hammered away at every single day. And to do that with a fully functioning brain, dude, like it's an accomplishment though. Well, it is a lot. And I'm like, hats off to anybody out there that just lives and just goes through it, because tomorrow's a new day. And what you end up realizing though is like the people that get put in front of you, if once you stop taking for granted what every day is, for me, this has been like the biggest turnaround. You stop drinking. Yes, there's some negative effects of that, dude. Like dealing with things and living in those moments and working through them and thinking. Those are hard and they'll end up being positive. They feel very negative at the moment. But like the other end of that spectrum, the other side, we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. We wouldn't have been able to meet people like Jason, had conversations with Will.
I never would have read his book because I wouldn't read books when I was drinking.
1,000%, dude. Like there's amazing things and it supersedes like, to me, there's a lot of just mindless chatter garbage out in the ether that a lot of people just eat up, dude. Like Mr. Beast has made billions of dollars.
I don't really know who that is. I see him pop up.
He's a creep, dude. But like I've never liked him. The kids, he like obviously aims his videos more towards like younger viewers.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, I mean, he'll make $100 million off of one YouTube video. But it's like, hey, touch this car for, whoever can touch it for 5 days or keep their hand on it for 5 days will win the car and $500,000. And it's like, of course, that's going to go viral. It's just mindless, stupid, like entertainment junk.
So we're in the wrong business.
Yeah, like obviously we're stupid. Like, but like I'd rather have a real conversation.
No, me too, man.
That 30 people listen to and actually get an impact out of. That's how you leave a mark. Like to me, the legacy that like you and your baby, me and mine, like I want them to look back and think like, man, that's a cool story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and so here's the positive flip on the sobriety. Then I want to hit on some other stuff about sobriety, but the most important part of my journey is being sober got me back into really going to church and really surrendering to the Lord.
Yeah.
And I can't sit here and say I would have done that if I was still drinking, because I had to ask God for help. And I prayed even when I was a drinker, but I was too ashamed to go to church because I was a drinker. And when we first started back at church, we started in August. So I was drinking up until October. So for 2 months, I'd show up on Sunday and I was hungover. I don't know if anybody knew, but I could function, but he was just hungover, And one of my really good friends, Eric, was, he was a song leader. The first day we walked in, I saw him up there. I was like, okay, this is where I want to go to church. And that day I saw him. I know I'd been drinking, and it was a Sunday morning. I'd been drinking on Saturday night. But when I quit, and I really got serious about church, it was motivation for me to to stay sober, but I had immediately Eric kind of put together a men's group for me.
Yeah.
Wednesday night thing. I didn't know anybody. I was nervous. I went out to one of their farms, didn't know any of them but Eric. Sober, that was hard for me, man. I had coffee and I was like, God, I don't know these people. This is weird. And I had to pray in front of all of them. And I'd never done that before. I'm like, this is really weird, man. But so where I'm going with all this is I finally surrendered to Christ, even though I was baptized at 13. I don't know if I would have done that if I would have stayed drinking. I've been too ashamed. I never would have asked him. I've been too proud to ask God today, hey, I can't do this. I need your help. So I fully surrendered to him. And then you piece in the part with Jacob. I could not be the man I am today, the dad for him.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And I wouldn't have the bond I have with him if I was. Because, dude, if you look at my life today, if I still drank, I have the perfect setup.
Yeah.
I see my little boy every day,
Yep.
but then he goes home. I got all night.
You got free reign.
I got every other weekend. Dude, I could be throwing down.
And a dope house.
Thanks. I mean, I could be doing whatever the hell I wanted to. I could be going to bars I could be traveling. Dude, I'd have the life, man. I mean, but I don't want that life.
No, and it's interesting to me, dude. Like, so I was the opposite. I went to church for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember you telling me that.
Surrendered, trying to fix it, like truly surrendering because I'd made such a mess of everything.
Yeah.
Never once factoring in alcohol into that.
Well,
but it was God like pulling the pieces off of me and like just exposing raw nerves.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. So I was the same. I was at church on Sunday, every Sunday. You know, my head swollen.
Yeah.
Things, like just sweating tequila. But
at least you were there, though.
I was there.
Yeah.
You know, so I completely agree. It's funny, like God just knows where we need pruning and what's the priority to prune first. But again, like circumstances across the board, I feel the same way about my kids and like my relationship with them. I don't think I've ever been a bad dad, but I wasn't a very present one. And certainly priorities were not the same.
But you weren't present because you were working, you were traveling, right?
Yeah. But even then, it's like when I'm home,
it's not focused.
If you say you got to do something, like I got to have something before we hang out, like, really, is that a priority at that point? You know what I mean? Like, Dad, can we go out and play? Like, yeah, but let me just
do this first.
Let me have 15 minutes.
Right.
And it's not like I need to take a breather and just like get my head right so I'm good for you. No, I need to inject poison into my blood so that I can function here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and speaking of poison, alcohol is the only drug that in our society that you're, how do you put this? It's the only drug in our society that you were made fun of for not doing.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like if somebody came in
or looked down upon,
100%. If a group of people were all getting together and one of them was like, "What do you mean y'all don't smoke heroin?"
Yeah,
you'd be like, "No."
Yeah.
if you're the guy that shows up and you're like, "Oh no, I don't drink. It's okay. I'm good."
What did you do? What's wrong with you?
It's like, how bad?
Did you get arrested?
Yeah.
Did you beat your wife?
Did you crash into a pedestrian?
Yeah.
Like, no, I just.
And I mean, it can be an awkward place to be in, man.
Well, they make you feel like shame.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, man.
And shame is interesting with alcohol because I feel a lot of shame just for like, number one, that I needed such a crutch just to feel like I could function just daily.
Mm-hmm.
But number two, it's like, I mean, again, I was not prioritizing anybody but myself and having a drink before anything else. Like, yeah, I worked a lot. I worked hard. Mm-hmm. You got to supply and provide for a family. And I'm blue collar as hell, dude. Like I need, to be a successful person, like I got to work hard for it.
Right.
But the alcohol was a priority. So that's shameful. There's a lot of things that are shameful, like almost tanking a marriage that's, 10 years strong here. Like that's shameful. That's stupid. So to feel shame because somebody's like, "What do you mean you don't drink?" Like, oh, like to be made to feel like a buzzkill. Like, don't make me feel ashamed for that.
So
that's where my hyperaggression and like, I will like tear you.
Yeah. And that's one of my struggles is when you're isolated or you're not doing anything socially it's easy to avoid those conversations. But when you actually go back out into the world and engage in parties or whatever, those conversations are going to come up.
1,000%.
And that's where I've struggled with it. I've struggled with, I'm able to maintain my composure because I'm not drinking, but I don't like to be challenged at all. And when it comes to stuff like that,
I don't like being questioned.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like you're prying, like why?
Yeah. Don't do that.
It's like, I don't really want to get into it. I just it's kind of like the analogy with the animal kingdom with Jason had with tattoos. Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
I'm not here to talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm here for other reasons. Just go in that side of the room.
Yeah, exactly. That's
because you're going to see why I don't drink.
Exactly. Well, and that's where, like, when Stephanie says you're the meanest man I've ever met, like, you could because you're a friend, right?
Yeah.
But like some dude just asking me questions, and like, dude, I don't have to explain myself.
Right.
Bro, who are you?
Like interrogation. Yeah.
I don't know you like that, dude. It's obviously a bad defense mechanism, and like probably like,
I tell you,
like Ned Flanders standing there like, oh really? How did that come about?
Yeah.
And then like you got me like
put a man through a wall.
Yeah, like what do you want to hear, bro? Like
I got challenged by a waiter in Fort Lauderdale.
Did you really?
Dude, so I quit drinking twice in my life.
Yeah,
I was sober for 1.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I kind of eased back into it. I manipulated my way. I was a manipulator back in the day, and I manipulated my way back into it. So we were. Well, go ahead.
Alcohol does that.
It does.
It makes you a good manipulator, dude.
I missed it. And so we were in Fort Lauderdale at the beach, and I ordered a O'Doul's.
Okay.
Right. I wanted a non-alcoholic beer. Yeah. So the waiter comes over, and it's like a little beach place or whatever. And he's like, I ordered it, and he goes, hey man, he goes, why do you want that? And I said, man, can I just get one? And he goes, what are you, an alcoholic or something? And I said, no, man. I said, can I just get one? He goes, were you in the military? I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, God, me too, man. He goes, would you just like to taste a beer? Like, why are you drinking? I'm like, dude, like, can I just get one?
Oh, my
like,
God.
fuck. Like, why is it on the menu, dude? Like, why are you asking me my whole life story? Just give me the fucking drink, you know?
I would have lost.
And I had to just be cool, man. And that was like I think Dave was married. It was a long time ago. But I was like, this motherfucker. Like,
yeah, I couldn't handle it, man. So
I haven't experienced that as much now because it's more common to, they have a term for them, not NAs. It's there's another term I heard the other day that I'd never heard before.
I don't know, but like I've seen there's a new brand that they're pushing real heavy. Like a lot of bars nowadays are putting
like athletic brewing is not, and you see it at a lot of restaurants. It's actually pretty good, man.
I like beer. I like the flavor of it.
I do too,
I
man.
just like the taste. Like give me a great IPA any day. Like
yeah, I love it. That's what I used to drink. They just Easy Cowboys, best beer ever made. Do you ever have one?
Yeah.
Oh God, I love that beer.
I like lagers. I like beer. I like brown liquor. I like tequila. If they made those things non-alcoholic,
they do. They make. I never had it. I don't see me personally. I don't see the point of drinking like non-alcoholic bourbon. I just don't even.
Yeah, me neither. But like I do enjoy the flavor of it. So like that's cool, man. And I think the culture's shifting a little bit to where people and probably. The younger generation I've heard they don't want to drink, they want to get high. So they don't drink alcohol, they'll drink non-alcoholic, but they want to get wasted on, whatever. Something else. Yeah. Or not wasted, they want to get high on whatever. I'd rather people be high than drunk.
Yeah, I never was a big fan of that.
Really?
I didn't do much of it, but I never really liked it. I like the feeling of being drunk better than not having any control whatsoever.
I had a lot of control when I was drunk.
I had more control, but not a lot of control.
I had a lot of control.
I could drive well, though.
Me too. That's probably not a great thing.
No, it's not. It's not.
But yeah, no, I see it like the culture shifting around that. It's like there is a lot more, and I think a lot less questioning. But if you're in circles of people that are drinking or drinkers and having a great time, number one, it's annoying sometimes. Like you just realize
it's brutal, dude. God, it's brutal because you sit in all of it, and it's like, man,
loud and stupid, and the shit that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah,
like, oh my god.
Well,
was I like that?
It's hard because as you're in this journey and you're growing, it's like you're part of a group that's a very small group. And it's hard, at least for me, to associate with people that don't understand you and I don't mean like in an everyday setting, but when you're in like a social environment, I don't know how to do that.
No, like a group is all going out on the boat and they're all going to be drinking and fishing and playing all day.
Yeah. And you're just kind of like, but Or, you know, what was funny for me? Like I'm a beach guy. I love the beach. I love everything about it. And so my whole adult life, go to the beach, get drunk. It's fun. It's awesome. Sit there and drink beers. So the first year I went down to the beach and didn't have any alcohol, I remember sitting out there and I was like, damn, this is boring.
It's pretty sandy.
And my son doesn't like the beach. So, you know, he was really small at the time. And I'm just sitting here going, okay, I guess I'll have another diet soda.
That's right.
Like looking around going, damn, this is boring as shit. But then I went a couple more times. And now, like when Shelly and I went this last day, it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. But it's all who I think it's environment and it's who you surround yourself with. And like, I can't go run with the people I used to go run with and expect to have a good time because they're just going to be drunk. And I'm going to be like, man, this sucks.
One of the things, let's do this because we need to put in a commercial break right here. Dude, I don't like a lot of people.
You know, it's funny, man. As long as what you get along, I'm recording.
Yeah.
That's where you're going. Cut that part out. I can get along with anybody, but I kind of gravitate towards a certain individual. And it's funny, when I first met you, I saw your tattoos, like, all right, cool. Like, we're going to get along. But I don't know, man. It's I just don't trust people.
That's it. That's better than me saying I don't like people.
Yeah, it's a trust thing.
The reality is I could have a conversation with any person in the world and probably a good one. And Stephanie laughs because like we'll go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And she'll be like walking ahead and I'm having a conversation with some dude.
See, that's another trigger for me, the grocery store.
Just, oh, really?
Oh, Sunday was not a good day at Kroger.
Dude, I just live at the grocery store, though. I'm always there.
We have a fan at Kroger, though, man. It's good, dude.
Oh, really?
His name's Harold. He's awesome.
What's up, Harold?
He's a checker. I've given him her podcast like 3 times, and he's awesome. He's been sober for a while.
Nice.
I've been talking to him, keeping him kind of like,
that's what's up.
Make sure he's okay. He's in his 60s, metal guy. He told me the other day, I'm getting off subject here, but I was checking out, and he goes, dude, guess who I heard on 102.9 today? Because we're both metal guys. And he goes, they played Pantera, Cowboys. Nice. I was like, there's no way they played Pantera. I was like, no way, they're coming in May, so they probably are. But I was like, dude, we're sitting here talking to people. And I said, you and I are the only guys in this whole store that know who Pantera is. But he's cool, man.
I love it, dude. Like, I'm bad about connecting with people because I'm guarded. I am
too, man.
Well, and honestly, dude, like, I knew a really good guy, and like he's honestly just like a very straight arrow, like really good guy. But it's like he's successful at work. He went to Ivy League college. Like parents' home life was just always great. Like he just kind of lived that like classic American dream. I'm not saying the dude hasn't had a hard day or like things haven't been challenging. He got through Ivy League school and he makes like $1 million a year.
Yeah,
like he's got challenging days for sure.
Totally.
Do we have the same like life experiences to where like I'm going to open up and he's going to understand? It's just not happening, dude. Like it's just not happening. Doesn't make him a bad guy. It's just like I can't be close. Like I'm not going to be close to this.
Well, guy like I think the reason that you have trust issues and me too, and I'm going to self-diagnose both of us, when you've experienced childhood trauma, you're in this constant survival mode and you don't want to trust people because you don't want to get hurt. Yeah. You don't want to be made fun of. You don't want to be embarrassed. And so I think that it's harder for guys like us to connect with other guys because there's a lot of, and if people have had experiences, they may not talk about them, but you just meet them at a party or at a event, they're not going to really say a lot. And there's not a depth there. It's more, hey, did you catch there's nothing wrong with sports, but like, did you catch Titans game or did you play golf this weekend? There's not a whole lot of like, dude, I'm 45. I like sports. I played sports. Mm-hmm. I'll go to a Titans game. I mean, Shelly was a Titans cheerleader, which is awesome. And I'm dating a cheerleader. Like, how cool is that? Yeah. By the way, that's awesome. But it's like, it's not my whole life. For sure. It was like, oh, did you watch that Alabama? No, man, I didn't. I was hanging out with Jacob. Like, I was in the mountains. I didn't watch any football. I don't give a shit. Exactly. It's like, we're out the ball. We had a fire going. Like,
that's the thing, man. I just don't connect with many people on a deep level. I strongly distrust most people. And I think a lot of people out there are untrustworthy.
Yeah.
Like it or not.
They're going to take advantage of you.
I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
And I see it a lot. Like we started our business and all of a sudden it was like a lot of people want to be around you. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like like you and I came to you because it could be mutually
yeah
for both of us.
right.
But I came to you not for that. I came to you because I liked your story and like this is somebody that I'd want to do.
It probably made you trust me too, because you.
It did, like right away. But I just don't care for. Well, you know what it is. I don't care for bullshit, and a lot of people are full of bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're fake.
I see it all over the place, man. And it's like, it's just fake. Yeah. I just can't do it.
It's real.
Really real.
It's real.
Like, and I'll put a warning up at the front of this that like, yes, we're Christians and yes, we cuss and yes, it's like, but at least we're having a real conversation.
It's hard sometimes for me, I know, to not cuss when I try to be raw. And this for me, this whole topic, I want to be raw and I don't want to sugarcoat it. I know we didn't start this to blow smoke up anybody's ass. And I'm not one of those.
No, dude. And
I'm not one of those guys that walks around with his head up his ass all day and goes, oh, everything is going to be great. I'm just not like that, man.
No, me neither. And the fact is, like, I could tell you, Steve, like, I know you're going through it right now. And the other day was a shit day. It is going to be okay.
No, I know.
You know that.
I know that.
But also I wouldn't go, bro.
But I know that there's going to be more shit days. And so I'm the type of person, I want to put that armor of God on every day.
1,000%.
Like the attack I had last night. And I can just laugh it off. I'm like, oh, nice try, dude. Like, it's not worth it.
It's just the reality of like, and I don't need someone to tell me, and you don't need someone to tell you it's going to be okay, man.
Yeah.
Like, what you need to do is just get it off your chest.
Yeah.
And other guys out there, hopefully, need to hear like, oh, good. It's not just me.
It's not just me. Right.
Because a lot of times what can happen is you can walk around feeling like a complete asshole. On top of all the failures, like I can't even feel like I'm supposed to be feeling good right now, right? No, it's okay. Like you're going to have days where you just.
And I get on myself because I'm like, dude, you should be more grateful. You should be more
1,000%
joyful. What's wrong with you, man? Like,
1,000%.
Why are you so?
If it was a case every single day of you feeling like that, and you like we're talking on the phone and every single day, it's the same thing. I'd say, dog, you need to take a step back and be grateful.
Yeah,
but you're not. Most days. You feel pretty good.
Yeah, I do, and I know I have a good life, and I'm very thankful for it.
1,000%.
And you know,
that doesn't mean it's not okay to feel like
but
shit some days.
One thing I try to do is like Jake and I, we pray every day, so we do the verse of the day, and I do it as I'm taking him back or right before we leave, and I always make sure I say in our prayers like grateful for our house, we're grateful for our family, we're grateful for all the people that God has brought into our lives, and you know that kind of helps me keep him, not only for myself, but kind of keep him too. Like, hey, buddy, I know I don't say this to him, but in my head I'm thinking, I know this is a very unconventional setup, but we have each other. I'm always going to be there for you. And like we were talking, I had him write his last name because in first grade they just do their first name. And I was like, hey man, go ahead and write your last name. So you got to put on your Cub Scout book. And he wrote his last name, and he goes, and I was like, yeah, man, that's good. And I said, you know what's cool about that last name? And he goes, what? And he goes, I'm always going to be your dad.
That's right.
Because you're a Morris.
Yeah.
And he goes, Daddy, that's your last name. I'm like, dude, you know that. I was like, but I'm like, you're always gonna be my son. And so I try to like keep him.
No, that's cool.
Like, hey man, we're good to go, bro. We got this. Like it's different, but
that's cool.
This,
that's cool.
We got a bond. So
no, it's really dope, man. I look and I just what I really want, what I really hope is like if there's people out there, even if it's just one, like that's down on themselves because, like you said, I should be feeling more grateful, or why am I feeling like this? And it's like you feel completely alone and completely isolated. The reality is you're not, man. It's like, shit, we all feel like this.
Yeah.
And if you say you don't, then you're a liar.
Yeah. Well, I think it's people have different personalities, and maybe some people have a more like one thing I love about Shelly, she has a very positive outlook on life. Me, I think I have a more realistic outlook on life. It doesn't mean I'm negative. It just means that
I'm not including women in this because typically
good, because I don't understand them.
Well, it's just like, yeah, me neither. But like I know how men operate, think, and like men are known for being obviously more stoic and more logical and realistic. What nobody talks about with men in particular is that along with that stoicism is extremely deep emotion that has to hit a bottle cap. Like it can't just be free and out and open.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think it should. If every guy out there was walking around saying every single thought, feeling, and emotion that came to his mind, good God. Like it would be not only exhausting, but nothing would ever get done.
But you know what, though? That's hard when you're becoming vulnerable and transparent. Sometimes it's hard to not just go, and it all like.
That's the point.
It's like you have to learn how to kind of
set and settings.
Yeah.
But like that's the point is like it's something like this where we can have this conversation and maybe one guy listens to it and realizes, okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Because that shit rubs me raw too.
Well, and I think too, like for both of us, we're both entrepreneurs, we're both successful, but it shows in a platform like this that, appearances aren't everything.
Yeah.
We may have this level of success, but, emotionally deep down, we still have struggles. We're still working on ourselves. And it goes back to the whole point. It's a constant thing. It doesn't stop. You don't reach a goal of like, okay, now I'm mentally healthy. You just continue to go. Because something's going to hit.
Check that one off.
Yeah, something's going to keep, like, it's not like in the gym, like, well, my goal is to do this and I can knock this out. But with this mental health stuff, it just keeps going because life is this constant change. There's different things that come up. And
for sure, man,
you've got to be able to navigate it. And it's to me still, like I said before, it's way harder than anything physical.
I'd rather
go train for a marathon again.
I was going to say,
be like, I
would rather torture myself physically than have to face down, emotion and mental anguish.
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
I still have like almost, like I've lived alone for a while now, but I still sometimes have like these phantom. It's weird, dude. Like I don't have any pets, but I had pets before, and it's weird. Like sometimes I'm like looking for my dog, or like I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Oh, that is weird.
It's crazy, dude. Yeah. And like sometimes I'll think like I know it's only me here, but Jacob's room's up there, and it's only because you're used to it, but you're not. Like you're still kind of. It's odd. I don't know how to put it, man. And that's where some of that loneliness kind of creeps in because it's like at my age. You're like, dang, I got a bachelor pad. I'm 45, but
45 is a new 25.
Yeah. But it's just odd. Like to been most of my adult life
for sure
in a family or a household, and now it's me. And I think that's why I get so much peace when I'm with Shelly because I love her and she's amazing. But it's kind of like. I don't know. I can kind of let my guard down too. Not like out in public, but like in a home setting, I kind of just
1,000%.
Like, okay, now I'm
chill.
It's cool. Like I'm good to go. But I don't know.
Stephanie and I are like that, dude. And we talk about it all the time. We laugh. Like our favorite thing is just like the end of the day when we finally just like lay back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just chill together.
Right.
Because it is the only time where I'm not just like 1,000 miles per hour.
Right. Yeah.
You know that Metallica song "Motor Breath"?
I'm sure I've heard it, but I don't know.
It's like you listen to it, but it's like my theme. This is like my perfect theme song.
Yeah.
So I'm just 1,000 miles per hour and hyper aggressive and hyper.
I can relate to that. Yeah, I'm like that.
And so like, when you have somebody that you can just chill and relax with, some people don't have that, man. And I'm super grateful for that. For sure. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be sober if it weren't for Stephanie. And that sucks to say because I love my kids like they're attached to my skin,
Yeah.
Like they're a part of me. But I wouldn't be sober.
Well, let's hit on this real quick too. I think talking about sobriety, you have to do it for yourself.
You have to.
If you put the first time I quit, I didn't do it for myself.
See,
I did it to prove a point.
Yeah.
And I was pissed off. I was angry. I was like, I'll show you. Yeah. And I took that energy and I trained like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I lost 25 pounds. Wow. I mean, I was like dialed in. I was in the gym 7 days a week. I was eating. I mean, I was a machine, dude.
Yeah.
And I was sober, but I was a machine. I was full of piss and vinegar and it didn't work, but I did it for the wrong reasons. I wasn't growing emotionally or spiritually or mentally. I was just doing it all physical. So I think guys out there listening to this, if you are struggling with alcohol, let's focus on alcohol. I don't know anything else about, pills or any of the hard drugs. I'm familiar with the drugs, but I don't know how to talk about that. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to benefit those in your life that are closest to you, but you have to do it for yourself. So you have to love yourself enough to say, okay, I got to do this for me, which is hard, I think, for men to say, oh, I love myself. Like, that sounds cheesy, gay happy. But you have to, man, because what it does, and I've said this before, you attract what you think of yourself. And when you're walking around and you're just a mess and you're negative, you're going to bring that towards you. Yep. And it works the other way. If you learn to love yourself and you work on yourself, it's going to bring people into we're an example of that. I mean, so because I would have been leery of you if I was still dreaming, like, why does this guy want to come into my gym? Why is he wanting to do this?
Yeah, 100%.
That's how I would have looked at you, like, what? Okay, what's up with this guy? He's coming all the way from where? Like, what's up with that? Yeah, that's just me. It's my personality.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm with you 100% on that. It's interesting to me, man. Like, of all the benefits of experiencing life through the lens of alcohol and dealing with trauma, getting through that and dealing with life through the lens of sobriety and facing that trauma. Yeah. The one thing that, like, I probably appreciate and keep chasing, almost like a runner's high, man, like, is just the anticipation of what's next. Because since being sober and experiencing life, as difficult as it may be sometimes, and certain days are like worse than others, meeting people and experiencing life like with anticipation of like, these are good things that are coming, versus looking at things with a curious, like, standoffish, like waiting for the ball to drop. You know what I mean? Like, what's about to happen versus, I wonder what's going to happen. You know what I mean? It's just a little tweak.
I'm still living in that, unfortunately. And I think it's just because of my past life situation I deal with every day. That's kind of how I still, because I'm not in control of it, even though I know I'm not in control of it. Yeah. But I don't have a lot of power right now in it. So I'm kind of still, I'm on guard.
You know what's interesting about you, man, that like,
here we go. Bring the hard stuff. I've been waiting for it.
Here's what's interesting about you.
Challenge me, sir. Challenge me.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
I know I don't.
It's all like you say shit like, let's start a podcast.
Yeah.
And this is what I want it to look like. And like, let's do this. We do this together.
Yeah.
And you got me who's just like frenetic, crazy energy. That's just like, yeah, okay, let's go.
What's stopping you from starting a podcast?
Let's just do it. Like, what do we need? I don't know. Let's just do it.
Yeah. Like, we need a kid to help us get it started.
But in those moments, like, there was never a thought of like, what's fucked up thing is coming around the corner from this.
When I said do the podcast?
Yeah. So like, why would you anticipate fucked up shit coming around the corner on anything that you say, let's just go? And you don't have to answer.
I'll answer it. No, I'll answer it. This is a small town. And let me say this a politically correct way. The court systems in the state of Tennessee don't always favor the father. I have a good situation right now. I'm very grateful for it. But I also know that it is a unique situation. And if I am not streamlined and on point, that situation can drop. The hammer could drop at any moment and it would change. So therefore, I am kind of like flying blind right now in certain areas. So I get what you're saying. Yeah. To give myself more credit, but because of my work situation, that's the biggest reason for it. So I don't have the traditional setting that I would have. Yeah. So I have to just be cool. And it's almost like a James Bond movie. Like, I watched Thunderball the other day. I love that movie. Yeah. And he does this in every movie. He always hangs out with like the main villain and Bond, James Bond. And they know who he is, but he's so it's almost like you're in a James Bond movie and you're trying to be cool, but you know that other side could take it away from you within a split second. So it kind of keeps me in that weird state of mind sometimes. I danced around that as much as I could because I don't want to like get too far.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, that's tough, dude.
It's just an unsettling feeling. It's very,
Side impact, like I know, like obviously everybody has a bad day here and there, particularly whenever you've started a path of like mental health and mental wellness and spiritual health and wellness. But I mean, it's got to be hard just to like ever just be and like actually move forward.
You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weekends I don't have Jacob have gotten better. So for a long time, I'd wake up on Saturday morning and it's just me, and I would think about it, and it would get me upset. And going into Sunday, it would get me upset. For a while, church kind of helped with it. I actually changed churches because I felt like I was sitting next to a ghost.
Yeah.
Because that's where we all were. And I want to be clear in this. It's my struggle is not the loss of a relationship. It's the kids.
Sure.
It's all the kids.
Yeah.
And my 2 kids. So it's hard for me to, I guess, move past that just because it's still this empty void.
Yeah.
Even though I have a lot of time with Jacob, it's kind of, I don't know, man, like you're on this journey and you're trying to heal and you're trying to be like this good guy and a good dad, but it's in a limited capacity. And my men's group's been good. They're all like, "Oh, you're not a part-time dad. You're still his full-time dad," which is great. It's great to hear that, but it's like, man, on paper, I'm still, I mean, call it what it is, man. Don't blow smoke. I mean, it's almost like a 3/4 of a dad, so I'll always be his dad, but I'm the type of person, I'm like you, I always want more. I see something, I go after it. And so it's just, it's difficult, man. It is to not have any contact with him. I told you this earlier, I think probably on the show. I dropped him off on Tuesday morning. I didn't see him. I didn't hear from him until Monday when I picked him up from school. That's a long time, dude. He's 6. That's a long time.
Yeah.
It's like he has this whole other life that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And your mind goes places, is he okay? Is he, and I know he's safe. I know he's in a good place, but it's just, you just don't hear from him. So it's hard, man.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's my biggest struggle. That's like the biggest thing that I deal with.
Well, like staying in that moment, like having to live that, there's other dudes out there that are going through the same thing or worse,
There are. Yeah. So and I try to circle back and I try to,
I'm not saying that to like,
we know someone, we have a friend in common that's in a situation that I don't think I could deal with that. He's a way stronger individual than I am.
I know how I would deal with it and it wouldn't be good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how he does it. I really don't.
So,
I really admire him.
But that being said, like, I think you've probably got like a gem of like wisdom, somebody who's even just going through the beginning of where, of like facing that down. Like, what would you say to that guy?
The guy we're talking about, or talking about myself?
No, it's like somebody let's put it this way, like somebody that's in the back end of a divorce, like finishing it up, and they're facing down a future that's drastically different than the home life they're used to.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
That's a hard question. The only thing I know to say is just you have to work on yourself to be the best for your children. So when you do have them, they're innocent in all of it. In any situation, any divorce, and divorce is very glamorized in our society.
Yeah.
And I will say there are situations where it is justified, but I think it almost gets over glamorized. I see stuff on Instagram a lot, and I see
people are having fucking divorce parties.
And the thing about social media is I don't think people think about this, but when you like something, and if it's a popular thing and you're friends with me, I'm going to see it. I saw one the other day and it was really glorifying divorce. And it kind of took me aback when I saw who liked it. I was like, man, I just, cause the kids at the end of the day, man, they're innocent. So I'm getting off track here, but I think you have to be the best version for your kids, but don't let that divorce impact your own kids in a way. I would never speak negative about my ex-wife to my son, ever. I would never, ever talk to him about what really went down or what I don't want him to know that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to put his mom or myself in a light where he sees us as, hey, those are my parents, and we'll always be his parents. But I think for any man that's going through a divorce, men are held to a higher standard. And I still think in our society, whenever there's a divorce, it's always like, what did the guy do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember at my old church, and I'm not throwing shade at them, but, you know, they were looking at me like, oh, what did you do? You know,
yeah.
Like, I didn't talk to mom. But, you know, like, I mean, I'm just here. Like, I'm here to worship God. I'm not here to.
Again, that goes back to like having to answer for yourself. Like,
yeah, but it's like the guys are kind of the villain, and a lot of times we are the bad guy. We're the ones out, you know, catting around and doing bad shit. But the women,
the statistics are shifting.
I was trying to stay on guys. I wasn't going to go there, but
the statistics are shifting. I'll go there.
They are.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why guys are the bad guys in a lot of situations, dude. But a lot of times, not enough is said on when you're trying to do your best at something.
Yeah.
And then you get kicked in the dick.
There's a lot of pressure on men. I'm going to say this. We can't make a mistake.
No.
We have got to be fucking dialed in 100%. If we have one bad day where we go fucking nuts, it's over, Rocky.
That's it.
If you lose that respect, or if you lose, it's over, man. You're not getting it back.
I know.
You're not getting it back. And that's pressure, dude.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure. And so I think you have to focus on yourself, and everything else will kind of fall into place as it comes. And I know with my situation, it's going to level off eventually. And mine's a juggling act. It goes back to your story with your career. And believe it or not, Jacob 6, we had this conversation on fall break. You know, we talked about me cutting back work so I could have him more. And I said, but buddy, if I do that, I won't see you for a whole week. Mm-hmm. I said, that's a long time. And he told me, he said, Dad, let's just keep it like it is. And I said, if that's what you want, we will. But I said, eventually it's going to change. But I said, right now we can keep it. And I said, that's good. That's cool, man. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Because I said 7 days is a long time.
You know what's impressive to me, man? Like,
smart kid, dude. He can.
Well, it's just like the fact that like you and your boy, like you involve him in life. You and I growing up, like our generation of people, like the kids weren't involved in shit.
No.
It was, hey, y'all need to go to your room because we got to work this out.
Yeah, but I have to tread lightly too. Like I have to be careful because he'll challenge me and he'll ask me stuff. I'm like, dude,
for certain. But kids are smart now.
They are, but he's very perceptive. So I have to kind of sidestep some stuff. Like, hey, man,
sure, man. But like just that conversation alone. Dude, like hats off to you. I still struggle with it, like, and I'm not in your position, but like just hard conversations with my kids.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this isn't for you. You're a kid. But then like internally, I'm thinking that, but externally, I'm going, okay, I guess like you guys do live in this life with us. I guess we have a right to know. But it's hard, man. Like,
yeah,
just hats off to you for doing that.
Thanks, man. We have an incredible bond, and I'm grateful for it. And I wouldn't.
Do you think you'd have that bond?
I was going to say
if you hadn't gone through all this, though.
We wouldn't.
So I mean, like,
I said that, and I think in this testimony I did. No, I wouldn't have. There's no way.
Yeah,
because I was forced to do things. I was forced out of. I enjoy doing them, but I was forced to do things in a role that I probably wouldn't have played in a regular household.
Yeah.
Especially with the job I have, the hours I work.
Yeah.
Like even getting him from school, I'd be working with clients.
Sure.
You know, I wouldn't be.
You wouldn't be there.
Or I would go grab him and go back to work and be not at home doing like homework, and I'd be distracted. So I'm way more present in that kind of role, and I try to plan stuff around him. So, you know, even fall break, I gave him some options. Like, buddy, what do you want to do? I didn't just say, hey, we're going to go here. I was like, what do you want to do? And he said, I want to go to the mountains. I said, well, do you want to go to the mountains or you want to go to the beach? He said, I want to go to the mountains. We ended up going to the beach anyways with his mom, but I didn't know that when we were planning it. But I was like, if we go to the mountains, dude, we'll go to the mountains. So that's what we did.
That's awesome.
So I try to give him a voice, kind of like what you were saying. Like his opinion matters.
Yeah.
Now, of course, some stuff he's like a kid, so he's going to say, "Well, I want to go to Target." No, man, we ain't going to Target.
Nah,
I know what we're going to Target for.
Yeah,
but
not going to the Lego aisle.
Yeah, and it is tough when you're a single dad. I mean, you almost sometimes have to fight the urge to just make up for lost time, and you want to give them
back.
Yeah, I don't want to say buy it back, but it's more like you almost have to play. You have to still be a disciplinarian in a healthy way, but you have to be careful because it's easy just to be like, man, I don't see him a lot, so I want him to have what he wants, you know. But you don't want to spoil him, and then he expects it. So it's kind of it's a weird balance, man. It's a
one thing that I love about you, dude, is like you just like you said it before. You're a thinker. The woke generation 2024 term would just be like you're mindful, but like truly, I don't think guys get enough credit overall for just like thinking through like just that process alone. Like I need to be this, this, and this, and all of these things. Like that's just, it's so cool to me. Like that you're able to, number one, even think through through that process, but even just to articulate it into words like you just did.
So what I did was when I got sober, I started to surround myself with good, strong men. And when I say strong men, I don't mean dudes in the gym. I mean guys that are
mentally strong,
that were solid Christian guys, that were all family men. And I started reading.
Yeah.
You know, like I told Jason, I read his book. I read Peterson. Why can't I not remember that damn book?
Yeah. The second one.
It's Chaos. Something. I can't think of. Damn it. 12 Rules for Life. That's it.
Yeah.
So I started reading. I started listening to podcasts. So I opened up my mind to healthy stuff, and I was humble enough to ask for help.
Yeah.
Like, and this was even when I was still married. It wasn't. I didn't even know what was coming down the pipe. I was just trying to be a better dad. You know, being the head of the household. And I'll say this. I'll own this. I wasn't a real man, dude.
Yeah. I was a bitch. I mean, I couldn't get over the SEAL thing. Like I said in the testimony, man, this fucking sucks. Like I'm in this town, I'm bored as shit. And I was a drinker. Yeah.
But then I stepped up to the plate and said, okay, when I got back into church, I realized this is what a true man of God is. I'm going to go all in and just do it.
Yeah.
Cause I don't half-ass anything. Even the bad stuff. I would do the bad stuff full speed.
Full on.
Oh, I'm going to have one beer.
No, I'm going to drink.
Like, no, man, it's a competition, dude. Yeah. So, and not that being competitive is always a healthy thing, but for me, I was very serious about it. And I saw Jacob, okay, and Josie too, my daughter. And I said, I've got a chance here to make an impact in their life and give them a stable foundation. And, you know, something that you hit on earlier about, I'm paraphrasing what you said, but kind of like moving on. You know, I have 2 kids from 2 broken homes. That's a lot to deal with.
Sure. I'm sure.
That's a lot.
I'm sure.
And that's me, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not being a victim, but
I don't think you're being a victim.
I'm a catalyst for it though. You know, and I live with that.
Yeah. And the reality is, and again, like when we're talking to people out there that are going through this or facing this down, or have been through this in the past, like the thing is the destruction that we put into our own lives sometimes. The reality is that people don't like to talk about it. You do just have to live with it.
Yeah.
I do think that there's silver linings in it all. I know there are.
Yeah.
I also know that things do level out and get better. Doesn't change the fact, though, that you have to just live with and accept. And when people say, like, you need to accept the things that you've done, like, and that was one of the things in these AA groups that we talked about in the past, like, they're like, you have to face it and you have to accept it and own it and apologize for it. AA, they're basically what they were saying was, once you've apologized, that's all you can do. Mm-hmm. So you just need to forget about it.
Right. Forgive yourself and move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
How? You don't just forget about it, bro, because this is your life. You have to live in your life.
You see it every day.
It's in your face.
Yeah.
I think that's shit advice. I think what's better advice is to say, like, you're going to have days where it's more in your face than others. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have days where whatever failures there were are going to be really prominent. And that's okay.
Yeah.
The way hopefully one day those days in between those bad days become more and more and more.
Yeah.
And not so close together.
And I don't think God can give you more than you can handle. And I think for me personally, he wanted me, and I'm he's obviously in control, not me, but I think he got me sober to prepare me because of the trials that were coming.
Sure.
Because I mean, he knows everything. If I'd have been the drinking Steve, there would have been a path of destruction, like probably unseen in this town, because I would have lost my absolute mind.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll share this, man, for guys out there struggling with, you know, not seeing their kids. I was talking to a friend today about this. Actually, I hadn't seen him in a long time. I was humbled. Still to this day, I'm humbled a lot in a co-parenting situation. And I'm not throwing shade at my ex or anything, but I was in a Kroger not long after I'd been divorced, and it's on this side of town. And I was walking into the store. I just dropped Jacob off, and I saw my ex's car, and like, you know, as you're walking into the store and they drive up in the front.
Yeah.
So I see her car, and I thought in my head, I was like, there's no way she's coming in here, because she sees me. I'm walking in the store.
Yeah.
So I go get my little buggy, and I always start on the produce side. I'm going to the produce side, and I'm kind of looking to see if they're coming in, because I knew she had Jacob. And I see her boyfriend walk in with my son in his arms.
Yeah.
And I had this moment, probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. I'm sitting in the middle of the store, and I'm just lasering in on the entrance. And I told myself, okay, you got two choices here. Do you run, or do you stay and you sit in this and you it's fight or flight? This is your opportunity. What do you do? And I was like, fuck that. I'm going to stand here. So I stood there, and I'll give Jakey credit, because I know how he was going to react. So my ex's dude comes in, and he's got Jakey in his arms. They both see me. He puts Jacob down, and he just takes off on a dead sprint right at me. And I was like, oh, cool. So I pick him up, like, hey, buddy, it's so good. And I'm trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, it's so good to see you, man. I love you. And so I go over and I shake, you know, his hand, and I say hi. And then my ex comes up, and she like, oh yeah, we had to go over here. And I'm like, that's cool. And I in my head, I'm thinking, okay, you gotta get a timer going. Like, don't linger, get out. So I was like, buddy, it's so good to see you. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. And I was like, hey man, it's good to see you. Like, I did all the right things, but I got my cart, and that was the fastest trip I've ever had in the store. And dude, that was one of the hardest experiences of my life.
I imagine, dude.
Yeah.
Like, how long did it take you to take a breath after that?
Oh man. Let's see. I got out of the store, and I don't even remember. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I just need a vent. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's just that, like, seeing somebody else with your kid.
Well, that's what I mean by, like, what the challenge is. This is why it's unfair to say, forgive yourself, ask for forgiveness from others, and then move on.
Yeah.
Because when it's in your face, this is like daily life.
Oh, yeah, I know, man. It's
I'm sorry, but it's just shitty advice, dude. Like,
yeah.
And if it's good advice to anybody listening, and like you're in the program and it's been good for you, I'm not meaning to offend. I just think in like practical matters, sometimes you just have to live in the suck and find a way forward for you. And like what I see, and I don't know, I'm not speaking for you, but like just like little things over the last year have been huge shifts. Even saying like, let's just do this podcast. Like, I think we can really touch people.
Yeah.
You're embracing the fact that like shit fell apart. You've had to start a new life. And now what's moving forward from here? Well, this is a cool thing to do moving forward.
Yeah.
Whether 30 people listen to it or 30 million people, I don't give a shit. Like, right. It's just cool. Like, but I've also seen you interacting with your boy, and like, and you said it, dude, like the relationship that you have today.
Yeah.
If everything was hunky dory, perfect, never fell apart, you wouldn't have that same relationship. So it's like, I'm not saying that as a silver lining, or
it is a silver lining,
but it is an aspect of like, yes, you're gonna feel the pain and you're gonna go through this moment, but like there is good things that happen.
Going back to that story, I've kind of composed myself a little bit. I had to be strong for Jacob.
Yeah.
I had to, because he needs to see me as a rock.
Yep.
I'm human, but he had to see me, and it wasn't pride, it wasn't ego, it was me just being there for him.
No, you modeled what a man should do.
Because if I would have skated away, I need to show him like, hey man, I'm cool.
Well, you had more than one option, or you had more than two options.
Yeah.
Like if you would have just flown out of there, that would have said one thing.
Yeah.
You also could have caused a scene, and that would have been devastatingly bad.
Going back to the sobriety topic, there's a perfect example of why it's good to be sober,
1,000%.
because it helps you think clear.
Yeah.
I was calculated in how I reacted and how I spoke. Yeah. And if you're right, I could have caused a huge scene in there. Now I'd met him before all this,
sure,
but still that was a very, very humbling experience for me.
Yeah.
Because Jacobs, I think he was 4 at the time. Yeah, he was 4 at the time, I think. So, he was young, almost turning 5. So it was gnarly, dude. Like it was.
I can't imagine it.
It was.
I really can't. I can't imagine.
It sucked.
Yeah.
Obviously it still gets me worked up just because to me, it was a reminder of look at how you fucked this little boy's life up.
Yeah.
That's what it was to me. It wasn't about her. It wasn't about her boyfriend. It was, look what you've done to Jacob.
Yeah.
Like this kid has to make a choice.
I think the great thing though is like you don't put that on him. When you involve him in life, like yes, it's different, but it's not unheard of. It's not like 1945.
It's very common, yeah. And he and I talk about that. We talk about
that. But again, like that's the point is, and for anybody listening, again, we kind of getting back to center of like that advice to somebody who's facing this down is you took control of bettering yourself.
Yeah.
Being more cognizant of emotion and what's coming out, but also part of your relationship right now and forevermore, I'm sure, will always be like just communicating these things.
Mm-hmm.
You're having very open, honest conversations. Granted, it's a 6-year-old, so it's going to be a little bit less candid, probably.
Yeah.
But they're honest conversations.
They are. Yeah.
And so he's a part of that. Like
he trusts me. He knows
exactly.
Yeah, he knows I'm there for him.
Yeah. But just the fact that you're involving him in those conversations, there is no choice for him. It's like you're giving him the best life that he can.
Well, and I want to model for him, a healthy behavior, so that as he grows it, I want him comfortable enough to come to me at like 14 or 15 when the bad stuff starts happening, 100%. And he comes, hey dad, what should I not keep it away from me because dad's going to get mad or dad's going to And so I want to have a healthy relationship to where he's comfortable enough to come to me if he needs me.
Dude, it's so hard, man. I'm bad about temper sometimes, and I have to tell the boys like, you've made me so mad. I am extremely mad right now.
Yeah,
and I have every right to be mad, by the way, because XYZ was the wrong thing to do.
Right.
That being said, I want to know why. Right? Tell me, talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. You have feelings. Like, we can express these feelings. I also do too. And it pissed me off what you just did. Like that's a new thing for me is like just having that 2-sided conversation.
Yeah. It is.
That's hard, dude.
It's growth though. It's growth is a weird thing, dude.
It is. It's painful.
Yeah. And nothing's easy, man. You can go back to the whole, everything's gonna be okay, but nothing's easy, dude.
Yeah. And listen, that's the point I think I'm trying to get across is like, everything is going to be okay.
Well, I meant like when people just say it to your face, but it's like,
no, I know.
You still got hard stuff you got to do.
Like it's the most annoying advice or when people say it, just anecdotally, like it's going to be okay. Yeah, I know. Okay. It still sucks.
Right.
Today still sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm really stoked for you because, like I said, like 3 years isn't nothing. It's awesome for me. And I think I told you this before. Like, I didn't have big brother growing up. I always like when we started becoming friends.
Yeah,
like, that's a fucking like brother figure.
Because I'm so much older than you.
30-year difference in between.
Yeah, that's right.
No, but
I'm really 75.
but really, like it's just cool to me because it's you're influential on me.
Thanks, man.
It's encouraging and inspiring to me. I know it will be for others too.
Yeah.
But as well, because you and I have two totally different experiences.
Yeah, we do.
But they're so similar.
I like how we have different personalities too. Like we're similar, but we're different.
Yeah, 1,000%. I was laughing at my buddy. He's like super, like we've known each other since we were 12 years old.
Yeah.
So anytime that we get together, we're like 12-year-olds together.
Yeah.
But I told him, he's like, because he was listening to the pod. He's like, I just listened to them all while I was working,
Nice.
Knocked them all out.
Yeah.
I said, it's funny, man. I said, like, you know me. And he's like, yeah, I know you. I said, it's so funny because like Steve's like just like straight and put together and like disciplined and like Navy man. I said, and then he got me. He's just like just balled up chaos.
It's good though. It works.
To happen. I said, man, it just works. Like it's so.
Yeah, it's like good cop, bad cop, man. It works.
Exactly.
Yeah, it works.
I love it, man.
You're artistic one.
But look, I truly do. I'm inspired by you, man. And
Thanks, man. That goes both ways, dude. You sharing your story was honorable. I mean, that took a lot of courage, man.
Or stupidity.
No, I wasn't stupid. No, seriously, man. It took a lot of courage, man. And you said in the thing you do laughter when you're uncomfortable. So
I do, man.
No, it took courage, man. It did. Some of the stuff I said tonight, I wasn't anticipating going there, but I feel like
that's why I wanted to have it as a conversation.
Yeah. And I think that's important for because most men, don't have a lot of custody with their kids in a divorce, and it's something that alcohol is not going to help that one bit.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And to wrap it up, like if you're listening today and whether you're going through something with family and divorce, or you're just hurting and the pressure of life is on, and you're struggling with alcohol, or you're struggling with just getting your shoes on to go to work the next day, dude, it's like I promise you're not the only one, and you're not alone. This right here, this interaction, and like I'd encourage you to find somebody to talk to and to just be real with. And it may only be one person, but it's so valuable, man. Like
it is. You got to get that. You got to get that stuff out. You can't leave it inside.
You do. And a lot of times for me, it starts off with just like one simple interaction that kind of snowballs into another, and then all of a sudden, like a year later, you've got one person that you're just talking to whenever you need to vent it all out.
Talk to God. I mean, He's there. He wants to hear from you.
That's exactly right, man.
Ask Him for help.
The cool thing is people feel silly sometimes, I think, like, and I know I felt this way, like, yeah, but he doesn't talk back. The reality is he does, man. And when you learn to listen for the voice of God, like I know what my subconscious sounds like my thinking voice. It's not the same.
See, I don't have that.
My words are different than God's.
I don't have that. That's pretty wild.
Like I've got this internal dialogue that I know is my voice.
Yeah. Well, maybe I do kind of know, because that voice I heard Sunday, I knew it wasn't God, but in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's funny you say that. I don't have that tight of a bond there with that, but I know He speaks back. It's just I don't hear Him, but I know He's kind of guiding me.
Yeah, well, sure. But I think like if you just, what I always ask for is like, and Jesus said this at one point, is like ask God to help control your thoughts.
Yeah,
so it's one of those like
make Him obedient to Christ.
Make Him obedient. So like one of the things that I think about with that a lot is when my mind is spiraling and I can't stop that inner dialogue and this and all that, I'll just ask like, God, will you just wrangle this together and just let me hear you for a moment.
Yeah.
And if I'm intentional about that, and it's difficult sometimes to be intentional, or to mean it is a better way of saying it. Like to mean, I want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah.
Like I'll find it more and more and more common just to, okay.
That's pretty cool. That's good advice.
But talk to God, talk to a friend, find a community. Not every Christian out there is Ned Flanders. Not every Christian out there is hard to be around. Some of them are, but there's somebody for everybody. So I just say like, just you don't have to struggle alone.
Yeah. And I struggle with this one, but give yourself grace.
Give yourself a lot of grace. Look, the best person in the world that you could think of, I don't care who it is, like Mother Teresa, whoever that is, whoever's the most perfect person you could think of, still sucks. You know what I mean?
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect, dude. Mm-mm. You don't know what their inner thoughts are. You don't know what they're walking into when they go home.
Right.
And comparison's the thief of joy, and it truly is, because just don't worry about them. Worry about you, and like,
yeah,
what you got going on. Some dude in, the sulfur mines of the Congo would love to have your problems.
Well, yeah, you said it earlier. I mean, your situation more likely is better than someone else's. So try to find joy in it, or at least be grateful for what you have. And I have to remind myself of that every once in a while. But it's becoming more popular to become a man that wants to heal and grow and work on themselves. And so there's outlets, there's resources, and I think you just have to make that first step.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once check your ego and just humble yourself and ask for help, and you'll find it. I mean, it might take a little bit, but there's resources out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say this because I had a bet. Shelly, we were talking, I love you more. And I just said it. So I hope you listen to this and you hear that. All right, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. That might even be like a 2-part episode or something.
It might be.
You gotta cook all your burgers.
Tough nuts.